As you remember, that followed the explosion. We got some new details now from Chad Myers following the developments along at the CNN Center in Atlanta. I know you're waiting for those pictures as well, Chad, but what are you learning?
They called it a successful burn. BP did try that. They corralled the oil with booms, basically flame retardant booms. They drove around the oil. They made it more concentrated, and they made it deeper and thicker so that it would catch on fire and stay on fire. Now, you know, everyone thinks, is this good or is this bad? Right. There are no really good answers to that, except that the oil itself has more caustic and toxic substances to marine life than the smoke does. Because when the fire consumes those toxic chemicals, those chemicals eventually go in the sky, they disperse over a much wider area, and those chemicals don't kill things because they're less concentrated. Well, that's what they did today. They burned that off. We just got a brand new piece of information, though, from the press release and the press conference that we knew that there was about 1,000 barrels a day leaking, 42 gallons in a barrel. I know you think 55-gallon drum, but really there are 42 gallons of oil in a barrel of oil. So you multiply that, you got 42,000 gallons of oil leaking. They say now that NOAA believes that that number could be 5,000 barrels, and there's another place that's actually leaking. And so this could be much more significant of a leak than they first thought. And so that's why they are trying to corral this oil, and they are trying to burn it off. They're also using dispersants, which is, you know, I mean, it's a high-tech 409 that they spray on the oil, and the oil mixes with water, and then eventually that oil sinks to the bottom of the ocean and is consumed by marine life. There are little organisms that will eat that oil, so that's good. You just don't want it on the top where the birds and the wildlife and the waterfowl and all of that will get. We know what the pictures of the Exxon Valdez look like. Right. The difference here is that the Exxon Valdez was right on shore when it broke up, and so the oil got right on shore real fast. When we've had the oil in the water for 5, 6, 7 days, that first oil, that initial oil, has now turned into sludge. It won't even burn. And it's easier to clean up than very liquid oil. It's like mayonnaise or like Jell-O. So you can actually lift it and pick it up in pieces. That's some good news. The longer it stays offshore, the better. The winds are going to shift, and it's going to get on shore this weekend.
If they're doing the slow burn, first of all, when they say a slow burn, how long will that take? Do you have any idea? And does it prohibit you from, you know, picking up the sludge that you're talking about because you got this burning oil all over the place now?
Well, they move the oil away from the big slick itself in these corrals, basically, of oil. They move it away because they don't want the entire slick catching on fire. So they move it away just far enough, and when they light it on fire, it will burn, but the rest of the slick will not burn. And so there's no threat to the people that are sucking or skimming, basically, the water. There are 50 vessels out there, like 1,100 people working on this, skimming the water, spreading on that dispersants, or the 409, high-tech 409. Also using the wellhead operations, trying to dive down with deep-sea subs, trying to cap that well off. So far, they haven't been able to do that cap off, and that's what needs to happen immediately.
All right, if we do get those images in, Chad, we'll obviously come right back to you. Thanks for the update, though, Chad.
Sure.